a lot of African Americans are wondering why are British African Americans playing African American people in the slavery movies. A lot of African Americans are wondering, because they weren't born, they didn't get to experience racism. A lot of British actors are chosen to play in slavery movies. African American, like 12 Years a Slave. 12 Years a Slave, there was an African American man. He's a British actor. Um, there's another movie where a black man dates a white woman, and her parents don't like it. He's a British actor. Harriet Tubman, which came out I think last year, 2019, is played by a British African American woman. Okay, the guy who played in Selma is a British African American man. So they're wondering why not just get an African American man or African American woman to play the slave in slavery movies. It's because a lot of African American people are still angry about what happened to their ancestors back in the 1800s, 1900s, 1960s. A lot of African Americans and our ancestors. I'm African American man. They had suffered a lot of abuse, humiliation, rape, uh, just anything you can imagine. Just mental abuse, physical abuse, put down because their skin is not white, just because their skin is darker, just for having skin like this. For like me, just being an African American man, not having the nice hair, just having the wool hair. So I said this is why British African American actors and actresses, they didn't get to experience what it's like they don't live in America. They live in a different country. They live in the UK. They're a little bit more privileged. Also, it's the statistics did say that British African Americans are more successful than African Americans in America. They have better education. They have better mannerisms. They live better lifestyles than African American people in the United States. And I think it's because their descendants were never from here. Their descendants is from Africa. And so they don't have family members who didn't go through the whole racism, getting enslaved, getting brought from Africa, getting and then brought to America. So anyway, but a lot of African Americans are, but I still think they should hire African Americans to play African Americans in slavery movies and stuff like that. Mr. J here, peace.